Okay, remember that they're changing my voice. Now, if you were governing class people who, well, just say it bluntly, were greedy and wanted to control people, why would you stop doing what you're doing in my case? Well, I'm going to give you about 6 points that tell you why. But first of all, let me highlight this. I had the character to challenge people in a fair way, an objective way, an objective test. My top martial arts challenge. It's not the privileged Olympics, right, where you have to have sponsors or be rich to have a chance to compete. Okay, you have to jump through a bunch of hoops that oppressors put there, but it's actually this universal challenge that anyone can accept. And if people continue to accept in the future, they will get paid just to show up. So there's an objective test, there's objective facts. Okay. And I had the character to make that challenge, and which is fair, instead of going along with a system that's unfair, which automatically put me above other martial arts. And their argument of doing nothing while the masses of the people suffer, okay, and just following their teachers and taking their word for it when the government clearly controls every allowed martial arts school that's allowed by the system, okay, is weak. It's not universally sound. So therefore, before my challenge even really began, I had won. So point number one. So we'll call that the intro. Point number one. Many people have acknowledged that I'm the top martial artist ever. And even many acknowledge, okay, that I'm the top martial artist ever possible. So many people have acknowledged that I am the top martial artist ever. And we see that people are even acknowledging that I'm the top martial artist ever possible. It's who, what, when, where, how, why. Most fear admitting this publicly. And some have admitted that they fear admitting it publicly. Now combine this with my height, my shape, my heart, and my top martial arts challenge, right? The objective test. And you get that I'm the top martial artist ever. And that is very important. That's my point number two is, therefore, the overwhelming amount of evidence shows that I'm the top martial artist, okay, ever possible. Because we look at what I've done compared to what people have done in the past. We consider evolution. We consider forging toward, faster strikes, fair and square. We consider everything. It's just clear when you really consider the facts. Some people might be a bit confused because they don't understand the difference between body types and mentalities and what evolution does and what focused moral intensity does. But if you consider these things, it's clear. Point number three. In the racist occult theater, propaganda, falsehood, game of the rich, okay, in that context, I'm not one of those beta, weird, wizard factors in their game, okay, any more than being a NASCAR champion. And I'm not concerned with being a wizard or being a NASCAR champion. That's point number three. That's more important than you think. Point number four. I cannot sink to the level of playing their game and pretending that they're above me. Okay? Point number five. Why can't the more mature members of the governing class stop this experiment, this harassment, this persecution, etc.? Okay? Because their tactics are counterproductive, and whatever they're trying to get from an experiment is counterproductive. Trying to change my shape to try to make it so I seem gay, try to make it so I talk gay, look gay, and be gay and be controlled. These aren't worthwhile goals. And trying to do so has really blown up in their face and has pissed off a lot of people. And the people working on the case directly do not believe that this is worthwhile. They've said that it's a wash many times, and they're ignoring that. Point number six, to help you understand this. Okay, I'm not saying this to offend ladies and gentlemen who are of Jewish descent or white descent or LGBT or whatever, okay, or black or whoever might be offended. But to speak their language so they understand, because they don't understand, they don't want to admit to themselves the deeper and spiritual repercussions, what is a worthwhile life, what isn't, what have you. But let's put it in a scenario here. Let's try to understand this by, make an example. If there was a bunch of Jewish people and white people and LGBT people and other political dissidents in a concentration camp. Okay? And they decided, hey, if we stare at the Nazis and harass them and persecute them, that it's somehow going to make our lives better, but it would make their lives worse. They wouldn't do it. They would say it's not worthwhile. If they're in a tank surrounded by sharks and the sharks were coming at them, well, they say, hey, everyone stand still and look at them and just get, eaten by these sharks. No, they wouldn't do that. So when you see that it's not in your best interest, and it's clearly not, and there's, significant consequences, be they, in principle, image, be they, making you more pitiful in reality, causing your death, what have you. I have no intention to harm anybody, so on and so forth. Okay. In physically speaking, when you see that that's the situation, okay, and there's no logical reason to continue, you just stop. So to kind of go over briefly what I said already, okay, the top martial arts challenge is an objective test. Many people have admitted that I'm the top martial arts ever. By admitting that puts me above everyone else, right? Elon Musk, Bezos, people like this who are people with a little bit more money than a lot of people, they're quite common. And so of the common rich person, there's 22.5 millionaires and billionaires in America. 22.5 million millionaires and billionaires in America. There's 1,000 billionaires, according to Joe Biden, in America alone. Okay. That's common. That's just another blood money person who made a lot of money. It's Prince John, it's Lex Luthor, it's Dr. Doom, it's Magneto. It's just another rich villain, the Riddler, the Joker. There's nothing really impressive about that. And a lot of people hate them with all their hearts. But I'm the top martial arts ever possible when you have an objective test and a universal scale. To the agnostic who doesn't know for sure because they don't really think it through, to the person who's not familiar with martial arts, to the average Christian, Muslim, or Jew who's not really familiar with martial arts, they think that the overwhelmingly sound conclusion is that argument is sound, and that's probably the case. To the person who knows very well, they know that that's the case. The person who's insightful. Okay, some of the more insightful martial art instructors, whoever it might be, military people. Let's say, yes, there's no way that someone was better than this guy at any point in history, certainly not now. And so you get that I am above everyone else, and significantly so. To the insightful person, infinitely so. In reality. But in their game, there's countless racists and gold diggers and people who are, disassociated in occult groups and sex cults and druggies and on and on. There's so many unsavory characters that are fanatically addicted to the game that they don't see it that way or admit it to themselves or live it that way, what have you. So it's not in their best interest or my best interest for them to continue persecuting me. If they do, hey, life is short, I'll die eventually. And that failure will stay with them and their offspring when they could have simply reduced the amount of failure that they've caused, that they've had in their lives. Where I have the most successful life ever possible, no matter what they do. So when we consider the measure of a man, for example, Martin Luther King said, where someone stands in times of controversy is the true measure of someone. Their character in that way, not in times where they stand in times of comfort and convenience. So when we see at this very controversial time that we live in, I rose to greatness as the top martial arts ever possible, where they folded and just said, show me, they just said to show them the money. And then that's what they're going for, and they sold their soul and what have you. So it is impossible to miss that. It's not just there's a Martin Luther King Day that reflects that. There's countless points of references that reflect that. It's impossible to miss that. And when you add the element of martial arts, it hits you in a certain way. So it's not going to help them to try to get the most impressive and righteous person ever to try to grovel and pretend that they're better. It doesn't help them. Now, I've said this and overkilled this and said it again for a reason. The intro, the body, the conclusion, and then overkilled the conclusion. So you know exactly what I'm saying, and you know that I'm right. Now ask yourselves, if you were them, what would you do? Would you swallow your pride to some degree and admit that I'm right and stop immediately and compensate me and stop ordering women to shun me? Or would you utterly humiliate yourselves far more than anyone who's ever lived, far more than you haven't already, by continuing at this late point in this process? Thank you. So keep in mind that I'm not gay. So the government is playing a game with funds, right? And there's wordplay involved, etc., with funding my parents' company. And I'm not doing what they want me to do. I don't work for them. I don't serve them, what have you. I'm never going to be gay. And basically my father's been, as I said many times in my videos, he's been very sick now for quite some time, right? Going to the hospital once in a while. But he has moments of mental clarity that they're sharp, and he's able to kind of run the business. And my older brother has a business degree, and there's other people in his network that can, that are familiar with business and lawyers and all kinds of stuff like this. Okay. So they think that if they keep me here in Morgan Hill, keep in mind there's a thin line in some ways with the crowd in Morgan Hill and San Jose. In San Jose, the rich people, right, they might be some occultists in an all-black vehicle, who gang stalk people. They might be some just a football player from the Niners. Their opinions aren't so important, okay, not to a wise person. They might be just another, lawyer or business person of some sort, okay, someone who owns car dealerships or whatever, right? Someone sells random things and makes lots of money from it or whatever. Okay, and then you get these kind of token minorities, the college crowd, the health crowd, okay? They don't miss certain things, like the fact that if someone appears targeted, you respect them more than the people around, right? It's the Christ on the cross effect. It's Martin Luther King dying for what he believes, Malcolm X dying for what he believes effect, okay? So people respect me more than everyone else around, despite the dirt on my car, which is something that's always there because I can't take my car to the car wash because there's bumper stickers that I want peeling off, and there's quite a few of them, and I want to have to replace them all the time. But more importantly, when I can't wash my car at home too much, I can just rinse it off, because when I rub it with a cloth or something, it messes up my arms and my wrist. It's the similar reason why I always wear a similar outfit. But if people see me wearing a similar outfit, they're not going to say, hey, that guy's targeted. It has nothing to do with him wearing a similar outfit, especially when there's bumper stickers that overkill that I'm targeted, right? For those people who see that, they're going to think, hey, that guy's the man. He's carrying his cross. So he's carrying his cross every day. He's manning up while everyone else is a beta. And it's overkilled by the types of liberals and conservatives you have in America. They're not alphas. They're just craftsmen, okay? And they're a dime a dozen, like the grains of sand on the beach, are conservatives who drive a pickup truck who's worth $35,000 or more, maybe worth $60,000, okay? Deluxe pickup truck, right? They're a dime a dozen. They're not impressive. No one says, wow, look at that guy. And so it is with the people in the Mercedes and the Teslas. They're everywhere. This is the Silicon Valley. Not impressive at all. Another Lex Luthor sidekick, right? No offense to anyone. This is the situation. And there's a bunch of Jews everywhere, and they don't exactly carry themselves like great warriors walking down the street for the most part. Every once in a while, some Jew is tougher and makes more sense than the others, And shout out to the Jews who make more sense than the others. Doesn't mean they're going to heaven, but I can appreciate that they're less obnoxious than the other ones if they treat you more fairly. I take that into account, absolutely. Okay. There's a lot of Indian people here, and again, they're Filipinos. Some of the nicer people here are Indians, Vietnamese, Filipinos. They're commonly some of the nicer people you see, right? Asians, what have you. Okay, but there's a difference between nice and righteous. You can be a complete idiot and be nice while people walk all over you. Clueless, from the movie Clueless. Alicia Silverstone was nice seeming. In the Flintstones, their wives, right? It was like Betty and Vilma or whatever the hell their name is, right? They're nice seeming. The females in, Scooby-Doo are nice seeming, but are they righteous? Do they masterfully choose a mate? Are they the type of person who's a suitable helper for the ideal man? No, because they're just nice and they haven't come into the cultivation of righteous. If you're nice, you should date me, yeah. And you should learn to be righteous and brave and bold and determined and have heart and willpower. These are the characteristics that make a man superior to other males. These are the characteristics that make a woman superior to other females. So when you look at what they're doing, okay, because they're playing this game of, hey, he lives with his parents in the middle of nowhere on a dilapidated ranch, taking care of his dad, and we're playing this woohoo, game with the funding, right? The notorious Mason and secret society carrot on the stick game. Oh, try to make us seem superior. It doesn't work. You look like rich jerks. You look like Herod trying to pretend he's superior to Christ. Okay, it is laughable. Okay, if you believe that in the story that Herod, if the miracles are figurative, and I'm right, okay, and obviously I am, that you believe in that case that Herod seems superior to Jesus, make your case. To people whose opinion matters, if that's what you believe, make your case point by point. If not, you must know that in reality, people know I'm superior to the rich. And I'm not going to pretend otherwise because it's against my religion. It's against what's morally precise. You put a lamp on its stand. Pretty straightforward, right?